Your Excellency, Vice Chancellor Sir, Dr. Chakravarti, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the conference. I won't take much of your time, but I want to sketch a little bit the context in which this conference is taking place, introduce the actors to some extent who have organized the conference and their context, and perhaps make a bit clear what it is we hope for and what it is we would like to achieve. The first and the most important context in some senses is what's going on in the Indian education scene today. As most of the Indians know, and others who are concerned would also know, the growth of information and communication technology is severely distorting not just the economies and to some extent the social fabric of Indian society. It is also having an extraordinarily perverse effect on institutions of higher learning. Increasingly, for instance, you find bright and brilliant students drifting either to engineering or to medical colleges or to institutions of law. So much so that both the natural sciences and definitely humanities and social sciences are increasingly dying out due to lack of patronage. So much so that if the trend continues in about 2 decades from now at the most, many states in India, including the state Karnataka from which most of all the two institutions come from, we will not have people either teaching or going to social sciences or humanities, or even able to teach natural sciences even at the secondary school. There are, of course, multiple reasons for it, and not all the reasons can be tackled by a conference or by an organization, because there are massive social and political processes taking place which are beyond the ability for any one nation or any one institution to control. But the point, nevertheless, is that it is time for us to begin very seriously asking questions as to where a country like India is heading, especially with respect to institutions of higher learning. One of the reasons we think why we are unable, or at least social sciences and humanities, are unable to attract intelligent, bright students has partly to do with the absence of interesting and important questions. I mean to say, if you look at current sociology, political science, economics, leave alone languages and so on, the kind of questions that are asked are increasingly either irrelevant to the concerns of today, or they are uninteresting and not at all exciting for young students. When they come, for instance, interested in to understand human beings, when they come to psychology, and all they have to learn is learn to do statistics and do personality tests, you can't expect a student to stay on and be interested in understanding human beings. Now, this unfortunately can be reproduced over multiple areas, multiple domains, multiple fields, including, for instance, a domain like anthropology. When students come because they're motivated to understand how other cultures function, and they are treated to boring details about the structure of the houses and food habits of people, you don't expect them to retain much interest in anthropology either. Now, it's a bit of a caricature I'm proposing, of course, but the point, nevertheless, is that somehow, definitely in the last decades after the World War, Second World War, social sciences seem to have lost the ability to raise interesting and important questions. Within the context of India, there is a second aspect as well, the continued, increasingly articulated feeling that the descriptions that are provided by the existing social sciences of cultures like India hardly touch or describe the experiences of the Indians. So these are the two reasons, at least, why we are unable today to attract young students, good minds, intelligent minds, questioning minds, into areas of research in social sciences and humanities. And that constitutes not only the general context of this conference, but also the context of the Karnataka Academy of Social Sciences and Humanities. It's not yet born. It's in a gestation period, but we hope the child is already conceived. We are not sure about it. It could also be a false alarm. But we thought, nevertheless, to give it a name and perhaps even, in some senses, ask a blessing. Because Karnataka Academy has as its goal something which is, if successful, will be really stupendous. That is to begin the process of regenerating and revitalizing social scientific research and research in humanities. Of course, it aims in the first place to work within Karnataka region in the hope that the experiment will be replicable and that other states and other areas of India would be interested in carrying out similar tasks in their own states and regions. Then there is the other actor coming from Belgium, this research center Vergelijkende Cultuurwetenschap. We insist on using the Dutch name because if you can talk in such terms as eigennumbers, like German words, I don't see why we cannot use Dutch. So please try and learn to pronounce it properly. Vergelijkende Cultuurwetenschap. So if you want help, we'll help you in pronouncing it. So it's a research center which has come into existence. Of course, it is in one sense born out of one man's research for about 3 decades. And that research has been increasingly centered around the argument or the insight or the claim, which might turn out to be false, but so far has not, is that the contemporary social sciences, at least in some of the domains like politics, sociology, rational choice theories, religion, ethics, and so on, are much more experiences of the world of one particular culture, namely the Western culture. And that when they describe other cultures, other societies, or describe themselves, they are describing, in that sense, not really the human population or the structure of societies, but giving articulation to their own experiences of the world. And this experience, that is also the claim, is structured and framed within the ambit of what one could generally call Christian theologies.